Today's show is sponsored by our friends at distilleryproducts.com. I could talk about this forever. You already know the drill. If you need awesome laser etch glassware at wholesale prices and you are a bourbon group, you are a store, you're a distillery, you got to talk to the folks at distilleryproducts.com. Reach out to me. I would be happy to get you in touch with them. They have amazing prices and do amazing work at distilleryproducts.com. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at Orca Coolers. Make this summer the coolest summer ever with Orca. They have something for everyone, from American-made, lifetime guaranteed hardside coolers to stainless steel whiskey barrel tumblers. They're ready to have your name on it. I got a hard cooler, a soft cooler. I got a few of these whiskey barrel tumblers. I'm getting ready to make my barbecues awesome. Use code DADS20 for 20% off of your order at Orca Coolers. That is code DADS20, and you're going to get 20% off, and that actually means something pretty substantial when you go to get a new cooler. So check them out, orcacoolers.com. Use code DADS20 for 20% off. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at action247.com. You want action? Get in on the action at action247.com, the only sports book by Tennesseans for Tennesseans, and it is the NHL playoffs. The Preds are playing against the Carolina Hurricanes. So for every Preds playoff games, if the Preds win, you win. Bet $5 on the game, and you'll get a $10 free bet for every goal the Preds win by. So if they win by 4-1, you're going to get a $30 free bet. The Grizzlies are also in the playoffs. NBA playoffs are going on. Bet $5 on the Grizzlies. If they win, you get your winnings plus a $12 free bet. And of course, if you use code DADS100, they are going to match up to $400 of your deposit. Check out all the boosts they have. Visit the special section of their sportsbook at action247.com. Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards, and I am Sans Zeke Baker. But together we make the Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us a part of your day. Here's the part where I would normally say hello, Zeke, but he left me hanging. And I don't know why he left me hanging, because we have an awesome guest and we are doing something a little bit outside the box today. We have a very, very talented musician. His name is Ryan Humbert from the Shootouts, which I could only describe as Robert's Western World poster child band. I mean, that is my favorite honky tonk in Nashville, Tennessee, where we live. If you haven't been to Robert's, you need to go to Robert's and get a bologna sandwich and listen to some great honky tonk music. Ryan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. I was told there'd be bologna sandwiches. Is that not a thing?
We are very far away. I sent you some samples. If I sent you a bologna sandwich too, it probably would have gone bad by now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, this was very cool. I loved getting this package in the mail with these little samples to try for this. So this is pretty unique.
So to set this up for people, a lot of our listeners like to send us a blind. And we figured, our friend Sarah, who works in PR, came and reached out to us and said, I have this awesome band. I really want to get them on the show. And I said, great. How are we going to weave whiskey in? And she's like, good question. And I was like, wait, what if I send him a blind? So we sent Ryan a blind. He has 3 whiskeys to try. He has no idea what they are. And I asked her, full disclosure, I said, Sarah, what kind of whiskey does he like? And she said, as long as it's brown, he likes it.
Yeah, I told Sarah, I said, I'm not real picky. I like bourbons. I tend to like bourbons over scotches and things of that nature. I can't say I'm super picky. And I don't really know a lot about whiskey outside of bourbons because it's not really where my interest is. So, but when it comes to bourbons, I'm really not that picky. But I guess we will see tonight, today here. We'll see how picky I am with this blind taste test.
I know there are 3 whiskeys. I'm very excited for you to taste them all. Maybe they're bourbon, maybe they're other stuff. You have no idea.
That's a good point. I really don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm putting a lot of faith in you here.
Well, I love, what'd you say? You had a friend come over that asked what was under your counter?
Yeah, he asked what was in these bottles, and he said they look like bottles of urine. He said, you're very trusting.
Well, I think if I sent you something that really was dog piss, like
Right.
nobody would ever come on the show ever again.
That's a good point. Yeah, right.
So there is a little bit like you have to trust me because I wouldn't screw myself over that much.
Yeah, Sarah would not be happy.
And word would get around. Nashville is a small city.
Yes, it
Everyone
is.
would
Yes,
be
it
like,
is.
don't go on the dad. They're
Yeah.
going to punk you.
Well, and the other thing too that's kind of appropriate, as I mentioned to you off mic here before we started recording, is that there's a song on the new album called Rattlesnake Whiskey, and we actually did Rattlesnake Whiskey, some stuff that kind of ties in with that song. We did a shot glass, we did a Rattlesnake Whiskey T-shirt, and we also did colored vinyl, and we did a Rattlesnake Whiskey colored vinyl. It's like a brown and black swirl that you can kind of see through, and so we kind of went all in on some of the merch with the Rattlesnake Whiskey theme. It was a song that we've been performing for years, and we didn't record it for the Quick Draw record. That was our debut album in 2019. We didn't cut it for that. And it just didn't really fit that batch of songs. And I literally had fans that were pissed, that were kind of like, where is that song? Why isn't it on the album? With this batch of songs, with the new record Bullseye, it felt like a good fit. We played it for our producer, Chuck Mead, and he thought it was a great idea. He thought it was a great song. And so we did it. And now I think we got a definitive version of it, and made those fans happy that liked the song from the live shows. And so we thought, well, let's have some Rattlesnake Whiskey merch as well. So I am going to be taste testing these in our new Rattlesnake Whiskey shot glasses.
Well, one thing I will tell you is, I don't know if you know about, there's DSPs and NDPs. So DSPs are distilling spirits producers, and NDPs are non-distilling producers. So you could go buy some whiskey from someplace and do a custom Rattlesnake Whiskey bottle.
It's funny you mentioned that. We kind of talked to a handful of distilleries about doing something like this. The problem was liquor laws. We had a company that was in Kansas that loved the idea, wanted to do it. Because of liquor laws, like me living in Ohio, they couldn't even send, samples and all this other stuff. And we literally wouldn't have been able to even sell their product in Ohio or in Tennessee or in other, So, I'm sure there's ways around that. And I would be game for talking to you about that.
Yeah. I mean, some of it is like, if you find an online retailer, the online retailer is kind of a loophole around getting distribution in each one of those states. I mean,
right.
And it's something like, for you guys, if you're building a brand and you actually want to be in different states, you want to be in Ohio, you want to be in Tennessee, you want to be in Kentucky, you want to actually be in liquor stores in those states. Well, then you got to go through distro, then you got to actually get a license in each state. Right. It's a whole thing to do. But like, if you're like, hey, we got this song coming out on our new album and we're just trying to promo it, and we got, maybe 3,000 bottles, maybe 1,000 bottles, whatever it is. And it's like the Shootouts #1 fans. If you're on our fan club, we're going to give you a passcode to this website that sells online. Like, that's a different story. Then you just got to go through TTB and do that.
I love this idea. We're going to have to talk about that.
I know we already figured out, like, the 10 minutes that we talked before this, that I think that we're going to have a good time hanging out.
Yeah, I agree. Well, so I'm going to try this first one here.
Yeah, try the first one. I want to know what you think about it. And then we will talk about how the Shootouts kind of got started.
Well, that's pretty good. It's good. Got a bite to it. Yeah.
We're going to rank them. So what we'll do is you'll taste them. We won't go too in depth. We'll talk about the whiskey at the very end. We'll have you rank them blind, because that's the fun thing. Like, you might actually say that something that somebody thinks is the best thing ever, you actually have third, whatever it is. Yep. I will tell you that I did not throw any turds in here. You have some good variance in price, and that would be the only surprising thing. I know I'm giving you a lot of hints here,
but okay. That's all right. I mean, I don't think I could guess them without some help, but it's funny you mentioned this too. I have an old friend that kind of fancied herself a bit of a wine snob, and we did a blind taste test party, me and about 15 friends one night. And of course she was, a little high and mighty about some of the choices and some of the things that she was tasting. And then because it was a blind taste test, she didn't know what was going on, but there was a wine that she just was really, really negative about and thought it was terrible and awful, and because she was so good at this. And it turned out it was the wine that she brought. I kid you not, at the end of the party, she was crying.
I will tell you that when we get the samples, like I told you, we get the blinds from the listeners. Yeah. There's always a fear. Like there was a Nashville Barrel Company pick somebody sent us, and we were worried that it was our pick, like the barrel that we picked. Right. Yeah. And sometimes they do that to us. They'll send us back, and we're like, I don't know if I like this too much. It's like, oh shit, did we pick that? No, we didn't. We're good.
You're like, oh, thank God.
It wasn't ours. We're good.
Oh, that's funny.
So tell me a little bit about how the Shootouts got started. I know you said that you were in Nashville in 2008 to record your first record. Was that the Shootouts or was that somebody else?
No, so that was just me. So, when I was younger, I just was kind of a solo singer-songwriter, did stuff that was kind of pop rock, kind of Americana, and I look back fondly at those records. I made 3 solo records in Nashville. And I think that those records now, I look back at them and I think there's definitely some strong points. There's some things that I look at that, like with any artist, you kind of cringe a little bit. I mean, no artist is ever happy. If you know some artists, you know what I'm talking about. And I think that those records were me kind of finding myself a little bit. And so it wasn't until about 2014, I met a guy named Brian Poston. And Brian, young, amazing guitarist, and we kind of hit it off. He started playing guitar with me, but we kind of bonded over our love of just vintage, real, traditional country music, the kind that they're not really playing on country radio anymore. And we kind of said, man, wouldn't it be fun to just go out, book a night at some bar, at some venue, and put a band together and go out and do nothing but classic country songs, just stuff we love, stuff that you don't hear anymore, just for fun. Like we didn't care if anybody showed up to see it. We just wanted to go do this to have fun. And if you know anything about me, my background is marketing and design and all this stuff. And so one of my favorite slogans or mottos is anything worth doing is worth overdoing.
I would agree with that.
Yes, I love it's how I look at a lot of things. And so our very first show, we went into it with a band name, with the look and the image, with a strong song list. And it was just meant to be fun. That was it. It was meant to be a side project. I never thought that this was going to be what I was doing full time as a musician. So we played our first show at a venue in Cleveland, Ohio in October. I think it was October 5th, 2015. That was our first show as the Shootouts. And we started the set, and we had a pretty good crowd of people that followed me as a singer-songwriter. But I think more than anything, there was like morbid curiosity. Like, what the hell is this guy doing now? And I'll tell you what, the response was fantastic. But more than anything, it was literally like somebody plugged me into an electric chair during that set. I mean, it was like electric just, coursed through my body. And I all of a sudden, everything made sense. Like, my musical upbringing, the music that I listened to with my mom, the music I listened to with my dad, my grandpa, when I first started playing guitar, playing old country gospel songs with my grandpa in his basement. I mean, all this stuff just clicked and it made sense. And all of a sudden I thought to myself, wow, there's no way this is just a side project. There's clearly potential here. It felt like I finally, was making music with maybe my heart as opposed to my head. It was really pretty special, man. It was really a unique turning point for me. And I think another indication of that is my longtime backup singer, Emily Bates. We've been singing together now for 18 years. I like to tell people we started when we were 4. Not true, but we've been singing together now for 18 years. And she was a member of my Ryan Humbert, solo project. And when the Shootouts started, she was kind of like, great. This is a side project, fun little thing for the boys to go do. I can have a little bit more time off whenever they go do these shows and no big deal. And I kept telling her, Em, I think you need to come do one of these. I really think you should come do one of these. And I knew that she had a background in country music growing up, singing harmony to the Judds with her dad in a pickup truck in Indiana, And so we played at my grandpa's 85th birthday party. We threw a massive party at a big patio at a concert venue restaurant, and about 150 people there. And the band played, and she said, well, I'll do anything for Grandpa. I'll come sing with the band that day. I'll give it a shot just for fun. We walked off stage that day and she goes, I get it now. That was it. And that was the only conversation we ever had about her being a part of the Shootouts. We walked off stage and she said, I get it. And that was it. And, we've never looked back. And I'm so glad that I found this. I mean, maybe a few years later than I would have liked looking back, but also, who really gives a shit? I think I found this at the right time.
Oh, I think that outlaw country, the honky tonk, right? It's the pickin' style. And it just is a different feeling. Like when you hear that and you hear the way that like more slappy than country is now. And there's, there's a little bit of like, you feel the notes on the guitar. And I say this from somebody who plays the guitar very shitty and played covers in bars in college. And, you talk about a pop rock band. I mean, I was in an emo band in high school. So like,
nice. We must be around the same age if you were in an emo band in high school.
Yes, absolutely. And,
that's funny.
Talked about girls breaking up with us, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I love like Americana, alt country, honky tonk, bluegrass. Like I have a huge affinity for that.
Well, and I think the thing is too, John, that it's like, what you hear on the radio, on country radio, on a country radio station nowadays, it has its time and its place. And I understand the appeal of it, even though it's not something that appeals to me necessarily. I understand the appeal of it. But it's just basically pop music that is made for a quote unquote country crowd, if that makes sense.
Well, I have a theory here, not to cut you off, but I have a huge theory. If you think about what hip hop is right now and what country is right now, they are singing and rapping about the same exact thing.
Yeah, they kind of are. And I told somebody one time, I said, country music nowadays is just essentially pop music with the fiddle mixed way in the back, like background. So, I mean, it's but that being said, I mean, I'm not trying to dog that genre. There's a lot of success there. There's a lot of artists that are doing good work. And honestly, you've got some of the bands that are making kind of what I would consider lowest common denominator country. And then you've got some artists like Chris Stapleton and Miranda Lambert and Casey Musgraves and there are plenty of others in
Brandy
that list.
Carlisle, I would put on that.
Jason Isbell and people that are really making good, solid country music out there. And to me, I think Chris Stapleton is a bit of an anomaly. I mean, he's a guy that has the artistic credibility and has the everybody just loves him. First off, he's an amazing singer, great guitar player, great songwriter. He's the triple threat over here, and he's making this very honest and real music. And somehow that's crossing over and being played next to the bro country down by the river with my girlfriend in the truck songs.
And he's the one who's winning awards too. And
right.
His past, he was at the Station Inn with the Steel Drivers. Sorry, I cut you off again, but
no, the Steel Drivers were amazing. And, and it kind of is the same thing with some of the females in the genre, which I think is that's been a big sticking point for me, is that you have some of the best country music being made right now is being made by the females. And, Casey Musgraves, now some would argue it's not really a country record. It's not. That's okay. It was still such an artistic record. There was a lot more depth to it. But that record swept the awards. I mean, it swept every award you can think of. And yet country radio largely ignored her. So why is that? What is it about that record that country radio wasn't willing to take a chance on? Well, I think it's just that she didn't fit the box. And also country radio, it has a long-standing problem with females and race and other things we could get into in a different conversation probably. It's a very interesting box. There's a radio station here in our hometown and the former programming director, I met with her one time and she said, look, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to play the Shootouts. And I said, okay, why is that? What is it? She goes, we don't play anything that is 110% tried and true, literally focus group tested. I thought that was incredible to hear somebody just come out and say, look, if it's not focus grouped and unless we know it's a surefire hit, we won't take a chance, even if you're, a local favorite. Yeah.
Have you moved on to number 2 yet, by the way, while we're getting...
Yeah, I just poured a little bit here.
Okay, perfect.
Just poured a little. Okay.
So my experience in radio, there's consultants that come in. So even if you're the program director of a radio station, the consultant is coming in and saying, you're playing these songs.
Yeah.
So you're not picking them. So you got to find stations like Lightning 100 in Nashville.
Absolutely.
And other
Lightning
stations.
100, WMOT, Lightning 100 in Nashville, both those stations. Right. Just amazing. And because they'll take chances. I mean, I've done a lot of work in consulting and marketing and stuff with a public radio station here in Ohio that takes chances. They will play new artists. They'll take risks. And to me, that's kind of what music is about, right? Like, I mean, I have friends that literally are listening to the same stuff they listened to 20 years ago, and that's okay. I mean, I listened to the same stuff I listened to 20 years ago as well, but I'm not afraid to go out and discover new artists and discover new talent and let that kind of speak to me as an artist, as a music lover, as, try to tell my friends about these new acts. There's just something to be said about new music discovery.
And I think there's something to be said about the access we have nowadays. I mean, if you think about when we were growing up, it was like, hey, you got to go on Napster. You got to illegally download these songs to find new people. Now with Pandora and Spotify, there's curated radio stations where it's like, hey, you like Chris Stapleton? Maybe the Shootouts are going to pop up in there. Maybe, and then somebody finds you. Yeah,
and and I'll tell you what. I mean, what that does is it kind of opens the gates a little bit. I mean, there are still, just like there's gatekeepers at country radio, there's gatekeepers at the streaming platforms and things like that as well. But I do think that it's easier. You can't just turn on a radio station and say, I want to play the Shootouts, but you can get on your phone and do that. And that's one thing that technology has done. I mean, this new record, that we just put out April 30th is called Bullseye. And, lately I've been shipping product to, New Zealand, Australia, Spain, Valencia, the UK, various parts of the UK. And how are those people hearing about us? Well, some of them are probably hearing us on some Americana radio stations. But, sure as shit, it's also because of places like Spotify and Pandora and things of that nature, too. Apple Music and such. So, in a way, that's kind of helped level the playing field for better or worse. I like being able to make sure that our music is accessible to anybody who wants to hear it.
Absolutely get that. I think you cringed a little bit at sample number 2.
It's bitey. I said that about the first one, too. Granted, I should tell you, I haven't drank straight whiskey in quite a while. It's been a few minutes since I've just chugged whiskey. But
well, you're not chugging it. You're sipping it.
No, I'm not. I'm sipping it. I like the smell of this one. I feel like it's got like some sweeter notes in the smell, maybe. Are you getting that as well?
Oh, yes.
You don't want to tell me, do you?
I can't wait to tell you all of this, but it's a buildup.
Okay. I feel like number 2 has a little bit of sweetness to it. Although when I tasted it, it was pretty bitey.
You get any fruit in there? Is there anything you're noticing?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah. It smells like maybe vanilla a little bit or something. Or is there a little bit of something like that?
There's vanilla. There's definitely a signature to this one.
Okay.
Might be something that...
Smell or taste?
Both.
Okay.
There is kind of a fruit. I don't want to sway you in any way. I'll just leave it at that.
Apple-y, maybe? Is it apple? There's something or citrusy. There's something I can taste. I don't know what it is. I'm not always
save a little bit of each one of them.
Yeah, trust me. I'm not drinking these whole things to I'm gonna get through the interview. So I mean, and the thing is like I really love the music business and I love country music and even at its worst, country radio still has something to offer. It's like I said earlier. I mean, there are acts that I don't necessarily listen to, but I understand the merit, right? I understand why people like it. And it might not be for me, but that's okay. I'm sure the Shootouts aren't for everybody. It just, but I will tell you this, John, too. One thing that's been really kind of cool is the number of people that come up to us after shows and say, I don't like country music, but I really like you guys. I mean, what else do you do but just kind of laugh and say thank you? I mean, we're about as country as it gets by real traditional textbook country standards. Gosh, music, like whiskey, like art. I mean, it's all subjective, right? So, it's fun to me when people say that because I feel like we're able to slowly but surely, one person at a time, turn some heads, and remind people that country music, like any genre, is more than just what you hear on the radio. And so, I feel like if we can keep turning people on to country music and for them to realize that there's a lot of different forms of country music, then I kind of feel like that's one part of our mission.
Now, I want to talk about something.
Yeah.
Y'all covered I Want to Dance with Somebody. You also covered Don't Bring Me Down on that as well. But
yeah,
listen to it. It's awesome. I kind of feel like there's a little, Trampled by Turtles is famous for covering bluegrass. I mean, you could kind of put a honky tonk. I'm not saying do it all the time, and I'm not saying go be a jukebox cover band, but I thought it was really cool to hear that song in a different genre.
That was kind of part of the thing, is that we just finished putting out Quick Draw. We wanted to do something kind of fun. We basically said, wouldn't it be fun if we took some songs that we love, just or some fun classic pop songs, rock songs, and made them sound like Shootouts tunes, right? Like made them sound like, with the Whitney Houston tune, we tried to make it sound like something Patsy Cline would have done. And with the ELO song, we're like, what if this was recorded in Bakersfield in 1965? So by way of the Shootouts, of course. So they were really fun to do. And the response to both of them has been really, really positive. And I think we'll certainly go back in and do more of that down the road. We'll probably just continue to do it as little EPs, little side project thing, or not stopgap project type stuff. But they're really fun. And they always go over well live. It's really fun to see people when we want to dance with somebody live, and they're kind of like cock their head a little bit, like, how do I know this? Until we get to the, like the chorus, basically.
As soon as you say, and when the night comes, everybody's like, oh, I know what song it is now.
Right. Yeah, that's about the spot. Yeah. And Brian Poston and I came up with both of those, basically. We were driving to Nashville together, just the two of us, and we were flipping through songs, trying to come up with some songs that we could cover. And we started talking about this idea of finding some songs that we could put our own spin on and make them sound like country songs, so that if you didn't know the originals, you wouldn't know any better. This one came up, and you have to try to look through the 80s gloss that's on the, the original of that song. Brian arranged it. We, played it as a band, and it felt right. And with the ELO song, I'm a huge ELO fan. I love Jeff Lynne, anything the guy does. Had a chance to see ELO a few years ago. I was just blew my mind. I said, I feel like that could be a country song. So it was a song I already knew how to play. And we were in practice one time, and I said, all right, just follow me. And, we just kind of started messing with it, and it stuck.
So one suggestion, Miley Cyrus's We Can't Stop is a perfect song. Like, it just goes along with everything. And that first line, red cups and sweaty bodies everywhere. I mean, you think about it, it's like it goes to kind of like a pop thing. Yeah. It could go to a country thing.
Maybe we could do two Miley songs next time. We could do that one, and we could do like Party in the USA.
Or Wrecking Ball. Like
Wrecking Ball. I'm sure somebody's already done that.
I'm sure somebody has, but you guys could put your own spin on it. I think it would be good.
Yeah, right.
I want to talk about Quick Draw before we talk about Bullseye. Yep. When I listen to this, I swear, I love Reckless Abandon. I love the opening of that. Like, I was listening to that and I'm like, man, I want him to send me that in instrumental, and I want that to be the new theme for Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Like, that'd
be awesome.
I have been looking for a new song. If you have any interest in that, I love that song. I love the twangy opening to that song. Quick Draw, which is the title track. It is an instrumental track, and it's fun.
Yeah. And that really comes from Brian Poston, our guitarist. He is a monster. I mean, he's unbelievable. He's 30 years old, and he plays like he's been playing for 30 years. I mean, he's unbelievable. And as long as I've known him now, 6 years, he just keeps getting better. And there are times that we will be on stage, and Emily and I will look at each other while he's playing a solo and just start laughing, because we're like, you can't believe it. Like, he still manages to impress us after 6 years, which I think is a good thing. I think that's a fun camaraderie to have, when you can still impress each other. He's a phenomenal talent. And so I told him, I said, man, why don't you write an instrumental? We'll see about putting it on the record. He turned around and in 3 days gave me a fully produced demo of that song as you hear it. And I mean, the producers didn't change anything. We didn't change anything as a band. We went in, we learned it from his demo, and we cut it as a band. And that was it, because it was such a good arrangement, such a good song. And I said, what do you want to call this song? And he thought about it, and he said, I think I'm going to call it Quick Draw. And I said, well, there's our album title. And so same thing with this record. I went to him, I said, all right, you got to write a new instrumental for us, and same thing. He presented that tune. Everybody learned the demo. Again, no real changes made. I mean, because it was so solid. And I said, what are you going to call it? Same thing. Thought about it for a minute and said, how about Bullseye? And I said, all right, there's our album title. So people keep asking like how long we can carry this on. And I said, I tell them I am up for the challenge.
And I don't want you to think that I'm like that asshole who keeps giving suggestions. Like,
no,
it's
that's fine.
Just things pop in my head creatively. And it's like, there's got to be one named High Noon.
It's really funny you say that. A very good friend of mine said that. And I told Brian, I said, you should try writing a song called High Noon. So yeah, we're already ahead of you on that one.
I just think of like, what are all the awesome things about old Westerns? And you think about the marketing part that you bring to it. I mean, your album cover looks like, it's like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. It's Clint Eastwood coming to the center of this guy is actually a lot happier than Clint Eastwood. He looks very happy to have a gun in his hand.
Which I'm glad, though. I'm glad, because this record is kind of, overall, it's a fun record. And I think overall, we're a fun band. I mean, life is way too short to take yourself too seriously. And we actually cut 15 songs for Bullseye. We only put 12 on the record. And I really, when I started listening to all 15 finished mixes, I thought, this needs to be a fun record. The last year has been shit for so many people. And if we can help people take their mind off of it for just 30 minutes, then I feel like, we're doing something right. And I also think it's part of what the Shootouts mission is. I mean, part of the reason why I enjoy this so much is that it made music fun again for me after being a musician for a while. And it still is fun. And it's so fun to play this music, and it's fun to see people react to it. So why not have an image that's kind of fun as well? Because, there's too many people that are way too precious and serious about their art. That's okay. There's a place for that as well. But I really just want us to portray, kind of a tongue-in-cheek, sense of fun in everything we do.
I think there's a lot of fun songs on here, from Rattlesnake Whiskey that we talked about, Hurt Heartbroke, Here Come the Blues, Everything I Know, Waiting on You, Missing the Mark, Forgot to Forget. So many good songs on here.
Thank you.
I listened to the whole thing for all of you. I mean, they're on Spotify, they're on Pandora, they're on YouTube, they're on, go to the shootouts.com.
Shootoutsmusic.com. Shootoutsmusic.com is the website.
So there are plenty of places for you to get this without having to pay for it, but then you should go to iTunes and download it and support bands that are trying to get it, not just go the streaming route, because you want to talk about the music industry and how things go.
How much time you got?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, back when I was in radio, it's like you had that 1 week out of the year where you did ASCAP, BMI, and CSAC. Maybe, you're indicative of like 1/10 of what you're playing all year.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like the one time they're looking at it. So when you think about how bands get royalty from streaming and radio.
Yeah, it's not good, unfortunately. I mean, it's not, it hasn't caught up yet, and it makes it tough for bands like us that are just kind of getting their feet wet. I mean, this new record has been, largely what I would call successful for us. But, there's still a long ways to go. And, the single biggest way that people can help support bands they love, and I'm not saying this for people with us, I'm talking about in general, any band, especially, up and coming independent bands, anything like that. The single biggest thing you can do to support them is go to their shows, buy tickets, tell your friends, bring them to the shows, go to the website, buy the merch, buy that shirt, buy the vinyl. Because those are direct ways that you can put money in your favorite band's pocket. Whereas, streaming, things of that nature, it's pennies on the dollar if you're lucky. And so, if you really believe in a band, any band, put your money where your mouth is and go to their merch site, spend the money for the, buying stuff directly from them, because that's really a way that they can help continue doing what they're doing.
Have you started drinking number 3 yet?
I'm on it right now. Starting right now.
When are you all touring again?
I think it's one of those things where everybody's still trying to figure it out, even the major artists. And I think a lot of things are getting announced. Some things are not getting announced. There were people that were supposed to still go out this summer that now pushed it back till next year. There's people who are going out sooner than they thought. We very much as a band fall in the camp that we can't wait to go out and play. We want to go out and tour. We've got things on the calendar, but we don't want to do it at the risk of anybody's health. Luckily, it seems like we're trending in the right direction. We're moving in the right direction where, everybody can be safe and can go to shows sooner than later, hopefully. So, we're going to largely stay a little closer to home for summer and do some regional dates, do some local dates, largely outdoor things where we can make sure that people feel comfortable as we kind of get back into concerts for a lot of folks. I think we're going to probably start touring again as soon as we can. We lost a lot of shows last year, a lot of shows. So picking up those pieces, but each venue, each state, everybody's got different rules, regulations, and different comfort levels. So it's a lot of work right now to put that together. But I would say by September, October, you'll start seeing more of us out and about touring to support this record. But even, like I said, even some other regional stuff before then.
Nashville does not give two shits. Like if you went to downtown Nashville right now, you would not know anything was going on. I'm not ready to be in that environment. Like I just want to be around a bottle of whiskey with some people, having a good time, sharing a pour, telling stories, laughing. I'm not ready to be at Kid Rock's place. Like,
right. Shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of people that are like that. I mean, I've been seeing a friend of mine has a venue, and she posted recently and asked people, what's your comfort level? What are you willing to do this summer? And it was all over the map, but more people than not said, I just don't know if I'm ready to go stand in a sweaty club yet.
But to be honest, I wasn't ready to stand at the sweaty club before COVID.
Right. To be fair, I didn't want to do that shit before COVID.
Like,
and it's funny, a friend of mine, that same friend, she said, well, would earlier shows help? And I said, earlier shows would have helped before COVID. Nobody wants to stay out late anymore.
It's not even, I mean, it's like once you get to a certain point in your life. Now, I never asked this. Do you have kids?
I do not have kids.
But, you're not the 30-year-old who is in your band. You are not your bandmate that's 30 years old out there ready to like stay up till 4 a.m. all the time.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I can still do it. I don't prefer it anymore.
No, that's the thing. The same thing with me. It's like I can do it, but I would rather be streaming old TV shows till 1 a.m. than being out at the bar. Because I have better shit to drink here, and it's cheaper. Nashville, too. Prices are friggin' crazy.
Like, I know. Drinks down there. Drinks and food and everything like that is... I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some amazing restaurants and bars down there, but you pay for it.
Well, and the food is fine. I mean, I'm fine paying for food, but when I'm paying $25 for something that is a $40 bottle or $50 bottle, and I'm like...
Yeah, right.
2 ounces does not cost half the bottle. Like, I know that there is... an on-prem markup, but like that's kind of crazy.
I agree. I think so. I think number 3 is maybe the smoothest. It had the least bite going down right off the bat. It seemed like
interesting.
That's maybe my take is that it seems like it was the least bitey of the 3. I've said that bitiness a few times, but
so what I will tell you, and I'm not preaching, I'm not being condescending when I say this, it is subjective, but you got to figure out what works for you. Taste, like, don't feel like you have to have tasting notes where you're like, I get anise and this and that. And
yeah, I know. I've never been that type of guy, whether it's be wine tasting or liquor tasting, things like that. I'm not that type of guy. I mean, I know what I like. I know what I don't like. And I'm happy to, I like branching. I like trying new things, new foods, new drinks, new whatever. But, here's the thing. All 3 of these are good. I don't have a problem with any of them.
So what was your favorite?
I'd say I would go in order of 3 just for smoothness alone. Although it had a good taste to it as well. I would go maybe 3. I think the bitiest was number 2, but it also had a really good smell. I'd go 3, 2, 1.
That's interesting. All right. You ready? You ready for the reveal here?
Yeah, I'm absolutely ready.
We're going to go in reverse order. So we'll go 1, 2, 3 until you get to your very end.
Yep.
So number 1 was Old Tub. Okay. This is a $20 bottle from Jim Beam. Old Tub was the original label that James Beam put out before it was Jim Beam Bourbon. So that was the original thing. It is a throwback. It's 100 proof. Before Jim Beam Bourbon, the Beam family made Old Tub, an unfiltered bonded bourbon. Old Tub was the foundation for what would become the world's #1 bourbon. This limited edition bottle is a tribute to that groundbreaking whiskey. So like I told you, there's a variance of price. This is a $20 bottle that you're getting 100 proof for $20. Not a terrible thing.
No, not a bad deal at all. And is that something you can get everywhere, or is that like a special thing?
It is a special thing right now, but it is a wider release. So we actually had Tim on from Jim Beam recently. He was talking about it. Old Tub was one of those ones where they did it in the distillery. They did it in a 375 instead of a 750, and then realized it was doing well. So they did a wider release with the 750. You can find it. I mean, if you're going around, I'm pretty sure it's in Ohio. I know Ohio's an ABC state, but if you can't find it, I got you. I'll find a way to get you one. Second one, this is one of the best things on the market right now. Zeke and I are huge fans of it. We probably have picked more than any other podcast. I think we've picked 14 of these between us already, and that is Jack Daniel's Barrel Proof.
Oh, wow.
And this is one that we picked. If you see this right here, that is me on the sticker. So one of the things with barrel picks, I don't know if you know this, but sometimes you put a sticker, a custom sticker on, you name it, you do something else. But there's a group of us, we call ourselves the Wolf Pack. There's a group out of Chicago. And when we pick barrels together, we say it's a Wolf Pack pick. And there's a guy who works at Jack Daniels. His name is Goose, and he is a large fellow. And I am a large fellow, so they took my face and put it on his body with Photoshop, and that was the sticker for this one. So here is the sticker shock for you on this. This is Jack Daniel's single barrel proof. It is 66.9% ABV, 133.8 proof.
Wow.
And
no way.
It is aged about 5 years.
That would be why it was so bitey. Like why I immediately felt like, holy smokes.
And what I would tell you with something like this, if you have some left over, which I assume you do, I know you didn't pour the whole thing. Yeah. Try putting a drop of water in. Don't put a whole lot of water in, but just that will proof it down. You can add some water and proof it. Maybe you don't want a 133 proof. Maybe you want a 120 proof, and it just takes enough of the bite off for you that it's good.
Right.
You know, and
is that now? So how do you feel about drinking things on ice versus drinking them neat?
I don't give two shits how you drink it as long as you like drinking it that way. I think there's too much pretension in whiskey.
Yeah, and I agree.
That's just going to proof it down. I mean, I'm a data guy, I'm in IT now. I think about Excel spreadsheets. I would rather have more data and then filter to the amount of data I need. Same thing with whiskey. It's like, I would rather have 133 proof, be able to add some ice if I want to, drink it neat if I want to, like have the option.
Yeah.
This stuff is $65. It's easy to get, like some of that allocated stuff that's out there right now that you can't get. You can't go get BTAC. You can't go get that other stuff. This Jack Daniel's barrel proof is out there and people can find it and it's good.
Well, and that doesn't strike me. I mean, I'm not a connoisseur necessarily, but that doesn't strike me as a really awful price for something that is that high. No,
that's a great price. The fruit, I didn't want to give it away for you, but
okay. But was there a little vanilla in there?
Vanilla and banana.
Banana.
Wow. So try taking another sip of it. Nose it. I know once I tell you that's the problem when people tell you like.
Right now, I smell it.
Yeah. And it is a signature for Brown-Forman and Jack Daniels. A lot of people will taste it and say that's banana.
Next time I'm in Nashville, I'd love to go visit the Jack distillery with you guys or do something. I know Emily, my backup singer, and I know that our drummer Dylan, they are also whiskey fans. We totally need to do this in person.
There's so many of them. And now, I mean, because we could go to Nelson's, we could go to Corsair, we could go to H. Clark, we could go to Leaper's Fork. So bunch of places nearby and then drive down to Jack, whatever you want to do. But last but not least, I know I've kept you on here for a while.
Oh, you're fine.
Sarah told me that you are a fan of Maker's Mark. So
I do tend to like Maker's Mark.
So this last one was the 2021 limited edition Maker's Mark. So this isn't the regular Maker's Mark. This is the limited release. It is FAE01, and that is the different staves that they put in. This was 10 virgin toasted American oak staves. It comes in at 110.6 proof, 55.3% ABV. And they say the tasting notes on the bottle, a fruit forward expression with notes of tobacco and wood. But what I would say the moral of the story here is bourbon is always going to be 51% corn, at least.
Right.
And then you're going to have the secondary grain. You probably tend to want to go to a wheat more than a rye as your secondary grain because some people will have the wheat be a sweeter profile. Like you just want something you can crush rather than something that has some bite.
I mean, I'm not shooting Makers usually. My favorite drink is an old fashioned, right? And so, or something like that, different old. So, I mean, Makers is a kind of a good, easy old fashioned when you're at a bar that you don't really know and you're like, you make old fashions? And they say yes. You're like, okay, I can't go wrong with if they have Makers and they have nothing else. You know what I mean? So that's my favorite drink. And so it's funny though that I liked this one best and it ended up being a Makers.
And when she said that to me, I was like, all right, I'm going to throw this one out there for him so that he gets one of these ones that he might not easily get in that limited edition Makers.
I could smell the wood now that you say that. Burnt wood or some sort of like wood.
Oh, and that's the thing that Makers is doing. And Jane over at Makers, who is she is the director of innovation and all sorts of stuff over there, but they have been playing with stave. Their whole Maker's Mark Private Select, which is what the equivalent of a barrel pick of Maker's Mark is. You literally go and you have these different staves. So they have samples that have had different staves in it, and you get to play around with it and say, how much of each percentage of every blend do you want? And then you come up with your own blend of finished staves. Either way, I'm really glad you got to do a blind. This was fun.
I am too, man. This was so much fun. I mean, for this new record, man, we've done a lot of promo, a lot of interviews from radio, podcasts, TV, magazine. This is easily the most fun in the sense that it's just so unique. I appreciate you sending me whiskey, which was so cool. I won't tell the post office, but I appreciate you. It was very unique, and I think it's a fun concept to send somebody drop off whiskey for somebody and and have them do a blind taste test. It was really fun.
And now you can tell your friend that it was not urine.
No, I think it was whiskey. I'm pretty sure.
Everybody go check out the Shootouts. Ryan, thank you so much. I think a great way to end this is if you have an MP3 of Rattlesnake Whiskey.
Yeah.
Send it over to me. If you're okay with it, I will.
Yeah, of course.
End it with this. I am not lying where I will absolutely change the opening of Dad's Drinking Bourbon to Reckless Abandon.
I'll tell you what, I got to figure out, I'm pretty sure I have an instrumental. If not, I know I can get one, but we will stay in touch for sure, man. That was a lot of fun, and I'll send you Rattlesnake Whiskey, and we'll stay in touch because I want to talk about the Rattlesnake Whiskey bottles, and I'll get you, see if I can get you an instrumental as well. Heck yeah, we can't wait. And I can't wait to share some pours in person. Ryan, thank you so much from the Shootouts. Go find them. What are all your social ways people can follow you? Yeah, we are. We're on all the socials at Shootouts Music. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Shootouts Music. And that's our website as well, shootoutsmusic.com. We've got videos up there you can watch from the new album. We've got a little live video we did at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You can buy all sorts of fun stuff. We did some limited edition vinyl. I'm a big colored vinyl fan, and we already blew through our first order of vinyl. We're on our second order of vinyl now. There's some fun colors of that. So we have a bunch of fun stuff to do with over at the website. If you're interested, that's shootoutsmusic.com. Everybody check them out. I like it. It makes you feel good. It's like that country music, that honky tonk that makes you feel good. So check out the Shootouts. You can also check us out on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Find us wherever you download your podcast. Chances are you already have because you're listening to us right now. You can also find us here in Nashville, Tennessee. Cheers. When I was 5, it was the first day I ever felt alive. I started running before I could drive, with a trunk full of bottles and a twinkle in my eye. So go ahead, baby, wipe your tears. We both know that the end is near. Could be tomorrow, could be today, but this rattlesnake whiskey's gonna kill me either way. Smoking all day and night. Mama kept a pistol and a watchful eye. We're doing God's work, Daddy told me, selling moonshine all over 7 counties. So go ahead, baby, wipe your tears. We both know that the end is near. Could be tomorrow, could be today, but this rattlesnake whiskey's gonna kill me either way.
came searching that higher ground for Daddy's outfit on the outskirts of town. The shots rang out that chilly eve as the air hung thick with the smell of burning whiskey. So go ahead, baby, wipe your tears. We both know that the end is near. Looks like the devil has had his say, 'cause this rattlesnake whiskey finally put me in my grave. Finally put me in my grave. I had my first sip when I was 5. It was the first day I ever felt alive.